Right, welcome back to the second part. The news continues shortly, but tonight it's all about the wild coin. It's a craze that has captured the hearts of Kenyans, and they are throwing every caution in the wind and saying they need the money because they are hungry. But the question is, do they understand what it entails? That's our conversation. This evening, I'll be speaking to an expert on data. That's Alkax is joining us in studio. So is the Commissioner for Data, Immaculate Kasait. I'm speaking with them in a moment. But first, I'd like to bring to your attention a joint statement that was released by the government this evening detailing issues about WorldCoin. So let me start with that. And this statement was released by the Communication Authority jointly with the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, who is here tonight, and is signed by Ezra Chiloba and Immaculate Kasai. Now, this statement talks about issues that are of concern that you need to know about tonight. So since the launch of the WorldCoin operations in the country, the Communication Authority and the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner have undertaken a preliminary review and noted a number of legitimate regulatory concerns that require urgent attention. That's in the joint statement signed by both. Now, one of the issues that they are talking about tonight is a lack of clarity on the security and storage of the collected sensitive data. That's the facial recognition and, of course, the iris scan. That's the first issue that they lack clarity on. And, of course, obtaining consumer data subject consent in exchange for monetary reward, which borders on inducement. A big question tonight based on that. If they just need the data, why then are you being given an incentive about between 5,000 and 7,000 just to scan your iris? I also wonder why. So tonight we get an answer on that. And apart from that, uncertainty regarding the consumer protection on cryptocurrency and related ICT services. That's another concern that they have tonight. And of course, inadequate information on cybersecurity, safeguards, and the standards. This is the first time we're hearing about this. And finally, massive citizen data in the hands of private sector without an appropriate framework. Now, these are some of the concerns that have been detailed in this statement from the Communication Authority of Kenya and from the Office of the Data Protection Commission. Now, let's have this conversation tonight because this is one of the biggest discussions Kenyans are having. Let me sit with them and get to know and understand as a Kenyan what really is happening here. Good to see you, Immaculate.
Good to see you, Ken.
And good to see you, Alkax.
Great to see you.
It's been a while since we
Indeed,
last spoke. And of course, this is the first time you're on the round table.
Yes,
But
the first time.
It's because of what is happening in the country, which is very close to your heart, as the first data commissioner in this country, never before. I mean, there's so much that has not been tested. There's so many parameters that have not been stretched. So it is right on your table. So let me begin by asking you this. Was this company licensed to operate in Kenya and to collect this data?
Thank you, Ken. In terms of operation, I can only limit my discussion to our operations as the Office of the Data Commissioner. Of course, when it comes to registration as an office, there's a checklist we use, which you tick. It's a tick box. Are you processing data? Are you transferring in the country? And then on that basis, you issue the controller the certificate. However, having issued the certificate to WorldCoin or humanity for humanity is not it, because there are many people, controllers we have issued and gone back and investigated and then found out that they are not doing the right thing and then fined them. And in this case of WorldCoin, we actually went and did a spot check.
Okay.
And when we did a spot check, and after we did a spot check, we realized that the kind of information they were collecting, they were not within the premises of what we were doing, what we had agreed. So what we did, we actually wrote them a letter back in May to cease operation in as far as processing of sensitive personal data. And when I say sensitive, it means the iris.
Okay.
We actually gave a cease, and we have not lifted that cease of operation.
From the Open Institute, Alkax, what is exactly happening from your observation? I come, I stand there, I scan my iris. What is happening? Explain to us really what's happening by them. I'm looking at my camera and there's a lens, so that camera is scanning my eyelid. What's happening? Why are they paying
There's a problem
to get that?
There's a massive problem. For the past 1 century, I think we can say that we have seen foreign people coming to Africa and mining minerals and that sort of thing. It has created wars, it has created all manner of things. In this particular instance, what they're doing is that they're mining us, they're mining our person, our personal data. That is the level of the problem that this thing has. What they're doing now is that they're incentivizing people because of the fact that we are poor, because we need the money, so we're going and scanning our eyes. And you see that there's no more sensitive place to go and get my data other than my eyesight. Once you've gotten my biometric
what can
data,
I do with it?
So much can be done with it.
What can I do with your iris scan? What will
you
I do
can
with
do
it?
so much. Number one, when we're collecting a lot of data like that, what we're doing is that we are using it to train AI systems.
Okay.
Because one of the things that can be done with it is a whole bunch of AI tools can be developed out of the data.
Based on what you have given them?
Just based on what you have given them.
Okay.
It's as sensitive as that. And because of the fact that this is a new world we're going into in terms of artificial intelligence, we haven't yet understood it, but they're now using it. They're going boldly and further towards grabbing our irises, our information, using it to build AIs that they will make money from us.
That's why they're giving us money.
That's why they're giving us small money. That's why they're giving us a pittance. Today at the airport, I met a young man who told me that he was there. He's gone and he's collected the money. 3-4 days ago, he went. He got scanned at KICC. He got the share, because what they're telling people, if you notice, is they're not saying come and give us your data. They're saying come and get your share. So the invitation is for you to come and collect money. I'm telling you, come nikupatie pesa. That's the thing that they're saying. They're not actually saying, come give me your data. So when people come, they're told, look into this thing. They don't even know why. That young man did not know why he was looking into the data, to the orb. He didn't know what it means that he's looking into the orb. All he knew is that at the end of standing there looking into this thing, he'll collect 7,000 shillings.
Okay. What happens to when I go to the airport and the same thing I look into a camera and they collect my data, obviously. Every airport, they have that.
Yeah.
More developed, they take biometrics. In fact, I was once in the US, you don't even need, immediately you walk in, it's already scanning you. It already knows who you are. What is the difference? They have my data anyway.
The difference is that information is collected by government institution.
Okay.
And they have a lawful basis for collection. Because one of the reasons for processing personal data, there are 8 reasons. And one of the weakest, which WorldCoin is relying on, is consent. We have raised those issues. You can't rely on they started shifting goalposts. They started by saying, we are collecting data based on a lawful basis. We said you can't use a lawful basis because there is no law allowing you to do this. They said we're relying on the legitimate interest. Legitimate interest, Ken, is like when you're a customer, I come to you and then you keep my database, I can send you messages for purposes of giving me information. They do not have a relationship with the customer. Then they are even promising we'll give you, we'll even give you cryptocurrency. We said no. They moved from that. They shifted and started saying we're collecting information on the basis of contractual obligation, which is now where you're seeing them asking people to sign. The other reason they are saying it is because of the other reason they are saying is what will I say, is a lawful basis. So that shift, it means they are unsettled in terms of what. But I keep saying we stop this. They are not government. You cannot have one institution collecting information about individuals. And for me also that talks to their gap in law. In law, we still haven't started discussing issues around AI, new things like this. Those are areas that can actually be looked at. And I also want to reiterate what my CS said in the morning, that this process requires a multi-ministerial approach, because data protection is one. What we have raised today with CA in our statement, we raised the issue of clarity in terms of storage on the data subject. We raised the issue of cybersecurity. We raised the issue of cryptocurrency. Those are, you see, they don't fall only at the desk of the data commissioner. It requires a round table for us to discuss as a country, how do we deal with this kind of emerging issue. From our end as a data protection, we've said this you need to. And for your information, they pushed back information. You ask, they pushed back information. But for us, we are convinced there's something about collecting. That's why we told them, cease.
Okay.
Cease operation on sensitive information.
When it was, I need to take a break because this discussion continues at 10, but I want to know, the first time they collected the data, when we saw the long lines, there wasn't a concern as much. And there was a concern.
Please remember, beyond even issuing the letter of cease, we gave an advisory. Because remember, they are relying on consent.
But this was at the KICC day.
No. It was, we did an advisory last week on Friday, actually.
So the cancellation by the Minister of Interior was based on what you had done. How comes, just briefly, they still went ahead to use a government facility, which I believe they paid for, to the government to collect this? Because the reason we were given is insecurity.
I wouldn't be in a position to comment about why they were using KICC because I don't have that kind of information.
What I'm saying is they used a government facility to continue with this even after an advisory that was issued last week, which means the government must have been aware this is proceeding.
Well, I will stick to the mandate of the commission.
Okay.
The reason we issued an advisory, their reliance of collecting this information is on consent.
Yes.
And what we are saying, even today in our statement, it's induced consent, because you're telling me, give me your iris, I give you
without
crypto.
telling me what you need my iris.
And telling with a quick explanation, this is what it is. With a long implication, not understood. But it's an inducement. Give me, I give, and consent is supposed to be informed, it's supposed to be voluntary.
Once you induce it,
but
it
once
crosses
you
the threshold.
We begin to come to issues of, and also consumer protection. When you talk about consumer protection, and what Az is saying, you're going to have information in the hands of one person. It means how else will anybody else transact? Because they will be selling back this information to people.
We're back with Al Kags from Open Institute and, of course, Immaculate Kasait, the Commissioner of Data, first ever in the country, and it's right on her table. We're back in a moment. Still to come, low-cost carrier Jumbojet increases fleet numbers in its expansion plan.